Hi, welcome to Centerville Reports Today. I'm Maureen Russell Hodson. Thousands of people have already rediscovered Woodbourne. Of course, we're talking about Woodbourne Library, which recently opened on Far Hills Avenue. Here to tell us more about some upcoming programs and some really cool stuff that's going on, we have Don Aukerman, who is a local historian, Patrick Hansford from the Landmarks Foundation, and Kim Senft-Paras, who is from the Centerville Library. And thank you all for being here. So when we first talk about Woodbourne, I know you've got some programs, some history, but you also have an author coming in to really share some of the history.
Yes, we planned these programs to really continue the celebration of Woodbourne Library reopening in September. And Don came to me before we even closed Woodbourne for the expansion and said, you know, let's plan these programs. At the same time, Elizabeth Garber, the daughter of Woodie Garber, who built the original Hunter Savings and Loan building, was writing a book. And she approached us and asked us if she could come and share her presentation and her book with us. And that program is going to happen on October 24th. That's a Wednesday, next Wednesday, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Woodbourne Library.
So for folks who may not know, the building was originally a bank.
It was.
And
the Hunter Savings and Loan.
And it became the library in what year?
1979, the library bought the building and then subsequently did 2 additions onto the building.
And we're seeing some of the library now, and I know we have lots to talk about, but just real quickly, wow, people are loving the library.
They are loving the library. We do keep statistics, and we're averaging 100 more people a day than we did before the library closed. So it's remarkable.
And just for people who may not know, it is open again. It's on Far Hills. Tell us the hours.
The hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 9, Saturday, 10 to 5, and Sunday, 1 to 5.
So you want to make sure
Sunday, 1 to 5.
Make sure you stop in because the renovations or remodel is really phenomenal. Again, the program is called, her book is called Implosion, a Memoir of an Architect's Daughter.
And the program is Growing Up Modern.
Growing Up Modern, and that's 1 to 3 on October 24th. And do you need to register in advance?
You do not. Just come.
So you can come and enjoy that program. And then if you just can't get enough, which before we started the program, we're all interested in a lot of this history. And when we talk about it, it's called the Woodbourne Library. There was a town at one point called Woodbourne. I don't know if folks know that, and that's really where you come in, Don.
Yeah, I think my goal is to have people rediscover why the library is named Woodbourne, or maybe a lot of people will, for the first time, discover, you know, why the library is Woodbourne. But in 200 years ago, there was a little industrial city located on Whip Road at the corner of Mad River. And there were maybe 200 residents in the heyday, and there were like 20 industrial sites. And the thing that
that sounds a lot.
It sounds like a lot.
Yeah, for that time.
For that small area. Yeah. Dr. John Hull he was a visionary who started the whole idea. He established a sawmill.
And that's what we're seeing now?
This is actually a picture of the sawmill. And then later, a little bit of espionage. Samuel Gerard from England stole some of the plans for textile machinery during England's Industrial Revolution. Brought it to America and somehow ended in Centerville. And then it wasn't long before he got some local investors to invest in a mill, and I think this is my rendition of the mill. I think it was a 5-story building, or the records indicate it was a 5-story building right on the Holes Creek. And so that, you know, created a large industry for that area, and before long there were a lot of other businesses established that supported the mill.
And you can learn more. We're going to talk more about this, but you have a special program, ReDiscovering Woodbourne, and that's going to be actually 2 programs in one day on November 3rd. 10:30 to 3 will be a program more about the architecture of the library, right? And then you can also learn more about the history and architecture of the building, and we'll talk about that as well. And then we're also learning about Woodbourne itself. So when we were seeing that sketch, approximately where is that, or where would that have been located, do you think?
It's on the Halls Creek. It's close to Alex Bell and Mad River.
Okay.
The Halls Creek runs right through that area. And this is over off, behind Whip Road, south of Whip Road. And I would like to indicate too, there was a lot of quilts or coverlets that were made there. And I happen to have, I'm going to have 5 coverlets that were made in that industrial community. So it should be exciting to see not only learn the history, but also see some of the artifacts that were left behind in the legacy.
So how did you come upon these quilts?
I was at I was at an antique show, and the coverlet on the left, the upper left, kind of caught my eye, and I know that Charles Bowden was working in Woodbourne, but we had never seen the image of the building. We didn't know the mill, what the mill looked like. And here's his coverlet has an image of a 5-story factory. And so right away I thought, that had to be the mill. And so I acquired that. And you can find them. They're rare, but you can find them in the area.
How did you get interested in the history of this area?
We've lived here since 1978. And I was involved with the Historical Society, and we actually live in a 1820 stone house on Main Street. So it was pretty obvious that I would be involved in the history.
So you're going to explain more about the history, and again, this is a program that's going to be offered on November 3rd, part of the Rediscovering Woodbourne celebration. And that, do you need to register in advance for that?
You do not.
Okay. Boy, the library just makes it really easy to come and learn more.
We're trying to make it easy. We really want people to come to this program.
So you'll be explaining more about the history and then showing some...
Yeah, and I also have a friend that's going to talk about how the jacquard coverlets are made. He's got a great little presentation that shows how the weaving process was created to create these beautiful patterns. And
so the library then took the name from the town that was there, Woodbourne, but do we know how the town was named Woodbourne?
Some historians had indicated that it might have been, the burning of the wood, or
oh, that's simple.
since some of the founders, some of the people involved were from England, there was a Woodbourne city in England. So
that would make sense with the spelling too.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Probably. So this will be the morning session, and then in the afternoon session, we get to hear from Patrick Hansford. Yes. How exciting is that? So what part will you play in that?
Well, as a couple things. First, the original bank building was designed by Woodie Garber, and as the Landmarks Foundation got involved, really.
And tell us who the Landmarks, or what the Landmarks Foundation
Landmarks
is.
Foundation is a nonprofit organization, and we work towards the preservation of local buildings and structures. We're the group that preserved or got Irma Bombeck's house on the National Register. That was our biggest thing. The most recent thing we've done was we've worked with the library and provided and funded an assessment study and a cost estimate to restore the decorative sunscreen that you see on the original building.
And we'll show a picture of that because I think maybe folks didn't even realize there was a sunscreen on there.
Yeah, and what's important is that the original building is done in Corten steel, which is a self-rusting steel. It's one of the earliest Corten steel buildings in the country. The building was designed in '65, completed in '65. It won an AIA Design Award in '66, but in 1964 was the first Corten steel building in the country. So we know this is a very early.
And right here in Centerville.
Right. And the sunscreen is Corten steel, so we hired McKay Lodge Laboratories, and they came down and gave us an assessment on how to restore this. So the colors that you see are the actual colors that were on the building in 1966. And using that study, the library was able to get some funding to go ahead and restore that. We think the screen, right now we're attributing it to Harry Bertoria, who is a modern, internationally known sculptor and furniture maker. In fact, there's some Bertoria designed chairs in the new renovation that you'll see there, like the ones right there where the people are sitting. Those are Bertoia wire-back chairs. So that's really our involvement now. Patrick Snaden, who is an expert in mid-century modern, he's a professor at UC, was driving by the building one day and noticed that this was a Woodie Garber building, and he really was the one that got a lot of this started. And we've kind of come in after Patrick and been helping him. And
So let me ask you, was he literally just driving by and thought, hey, I recognize that architecture?
He was literally driving by the library. He came to Centerville to meet a friend. They had lunch. They were driving by the library, noticed the building, went inside, talked to our reference librarian, Kevin Reisner. Kevin shared Patrick's information with me. I contacted him. He came out. Subsequently, he and his students and an associate taught 2 classes at the School of Architecture at the University of Cincinnati using Woodbourne Library as a model. So the first class was a historic preservation class where the students came out and measured everything to, so they could, use those measurements as tools in another class. And then he had his studio design class create an addition for the library. And it was fascinating. Our LWC architects actually went down and were some of the judges for that project.
That's
so
incredible.
It is. It is so serendipitous that he was literally driving by the library. We just did not know what we had.
And a lot of Mr. Garber's buildings have been just demolished. So it's to have one that is pretty complete as it is. And I'm going to forget the 2 high-rise towers at UC that he did that were imploded, but those were Woodie Garber buildings. He did the main library in downtown Cincinnati also as a Woodie Garber. Mm-hmm. So there are just a handful that are still out there.
And it's just amazing to me because we always talk about preserving our historic buildings. Sure. Here we have living history right here at the Woodbourne Library that people need to go in and take stock of.
Right, and what's interesting to me is it isn't a log cabin, or,
right.
But now that the modernists, the 1960s, have become our history. So I think it's really important that we honor and respect all the time periods. So this was just really special.
Right here in our own community.
Yes,
I mean that's really incredible. Let's just review these programs because again it's all part of the Rediscovering Woodbourne celebration. So on October 24th from 1 to 3 it's Growing Up Modern, and this will give you an opportunity to hear from Elizabeth Garber. Again, it was her father who designed the building, and there is no registration. You're free to go to that, and if you haven't been into Woodbourne, this is a great chance to go and get a sneak peek inside. And then on November 3rd from 10:30 until 3, Rediscovering Woodbourne. It is a program that Don is going to present about Woodbourne, the town that no longer exists. Was it a town or a village or what?
They call it a town.
A town that no longer exists. Again, there's no registration required for that. You can learn a lot about the history. And then come back at 1:30 and you'll hear from Patrick Squared, right? We have Patrick Snaden, who is the architect who fortunately for us, drove past and saw the library, and also Patrick Hansford. And you'll get to learn more about that building. And again, you can also go in, I'm sure there's information, Kim, inside the library about the history, and you also have lots of information about programming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, there's a wonderful historical placard that we put in that part of the building describing Mr. Garber and Mr. Bertoia. So.
Well, I have to say, the library did a great job because you have the wow factor. And we talk about mid-century modern. Who knew that was history?
Right, exactly.
But it is now, right?
Absolutely.
There's a great appreciation for it.
And what's really special is it they always say it takes a village. Well, here's our little village, right here. Snaden driving by, Patrick coming through, Don, coming to me and say, hey, I want to do a program to share. So it's wonderful, and it's just what the library wants to be, in the center of the activity and the energy. So it's great.
Well, thank you all for sharing the story. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.